Welcome to the first episode of Play the Tape. I am your host, Derek J. Fields. And full disclaimer, I am not a licensed clinical counselor. I am not a certified drug and alcohol counselor. On Play the Tape, what we do here is provide a platform of community support and advocacy for those who have mental health conditions, substance use, and recovery. We're here to share our experience, strength, and hope. And with that, love, faith, and recovery can happen. That's what we're here for. Now, don't get me wrong. There will be people up here on the show, Play the Tape, that are licensed and are certified. And they will come from a different perspective. Excuse me. Uh, but they also have their mental health challenges as well. Most of the people that I will be interviewing and talking to will be coming from a perspective of keeping it mostly on themselves because we're not therapists. We don't do therapy here. Um, the guest I have today is someone I've known for 38 years, someone that I know very well, and his story is compelling. It's interesting. It's multifaceted. It's very complex. Today's guest is me. Oh, I don't really know where I should start, to be honest. And I had talked to my wife about it and I had prayed about it. And my wife was like, why don't you just talk about the concept of Play the Tape and the idea where it comes from, just to start things off. And then you can get into your story anytime you want. It's your show. And I was like, that's a good idea because I would be all over the place with my story. Um, and I just want to give some background about where Play the Tape came from and what it's about. So you heard me talk about how it's a platform for support, advocacy, and community. And it is. And it's a place where people who have mental health, substance use, and recovery can come share their testimonies and share their experience, strength, and hope, um, and share how their life experiences have shaped them into the type of person that they are. Play the Tape is just that. It's a safe place. It's a place that you can come and share however vulnerable you want to, whatever's in your heart to share. For instance, uh, I was born in Greenville, raised in Chakawinity, North Carolina. And I come from a 60-40 or 70-30 home. I'm like, what's that? What's 70-30, Derek? It's all my needs were met as far as I never wanted for food, clothing, shelter. I never wanted for gifts for birthday and Christmas. I had loving parents, but I also came from an abusive household, uh, alcoholic household. And I took my first sip of alcohol maybe around 5 or 6. It was beer. I didn't like it. I can remember that. And the reason that I'm giving this is because this is what Play the Tape is. It's transparency, it's vulnerability, it's accountability, it's responsibility for the good, bad, and indifferent that the world has shown us. As one of my friends put it, life is lifing. And that friend will be on the show at some point because she has an extraordinary story as well, which all my guests will. So getting back to lifing, it was very hard to grow up in that home of that unpredictability at that time. Um, what could I control? I felt like I couldn't control anything. Um, and I saw the strength of my mother because she stayed. And I saw her go through a lot of hell. I went through a lot of hell. So did my brother. But then I saw how my father grew and he changed from being the type of person he was, to being a God-fearing man, to having God come into his heart and change him. I saw that. I saw the strength of my mother, and that was nothing but God, for her to stay through all that and endure all of that, because she didn't want to move her children in and out of different homes, and having us not being settled and having security and being stable. I never condone what my father did, but I understand. And you're like, how do you understand that? Because in my journey of addiction and that disease, our paths are similar in the fact that we both served our country. My dad is a Desert Storm vet. I am a Iraqi freedom vet. Uh, Iraq and Afghanistan, and that changes you. You lose yourself over there. Not saying that what we did was right, but it was doing our job at that time. And for my dad, there was no post-traumatic stress disorder. What? What is that? They used to call it shell shock. And in the black community, well, in the community, well, for men, especially black men in the black community, we were not taught to share feelings. We were not taught to express emotion. And when you get into the military, that is even more suppressed, depending on what kind of division, what kind of position you are in the military, because there's different divisions in the military. There are different categories. You have Rangers, you have your Navy SEALs, you have your special ops, you have your snipers. So depending on your job and what you have to do, there's different levels and different degrees of mental anguish that you have to deal with. And I dealt with that too, just like my dad. And I came from a whole household that just talking about your feelings wasn't expressed. It wasn't validated. It wasn't encouraged. I'll say that. And so you have to press things down. You have to sweep things under the rug. Perspective, or perspective. Not perspective, but what's the word I'm looking for? Presentation. There we go. How it looked was more important on the outside than what it really is on the inside. Things that happen in the house stay in the house. You didn't want to be snitching or telling on what was going on in the household. And at that time, there was no one to tell. There was no one to run and tell, because you didn't want to get your family in trouble, and you didn't want to be in trouble yourself for telling. Now, there is a different viewpoint that people may have of your family that they didn't want people to know about. Okay. So there was that trauma in my life. Then there was trauma in the military. There was uncertainty. There was unpredictability. So I'm dealing with all of those things in my childhood now into the military aspect of my life. I get out of the military, I do my 8 years, I get out honorably. And in that time where I'm last transitioning out of the military, I'm in a unit that just goes stateside to Korea, Korea to stateside. So ADA unit, Air Defense Artillery. So most of those troops, soldiers, brothers and sisters, don't see combat the way I did. So they really wasn't understanding and couldn't really process what I was going through mentally. I had a couple suicide attempts. I did. But it was, now that I look back on it, it was crying out for help. It was crying out for attention. I needed to understand where this anger and this rage and this F the world complex came from. I was married at the time, cheated on my wife, had a child, introduced to my daughter and my son. And I was still angry. I was still trying to be someone I wasn't. Still trying to play the field, be this player guy, just many different types of women and having all types of explicit sex. They tell me when I went to the rooms of my fellowship, and I go to many different rooms because I have many different character defects. I have many different shortcomings. But the fellowship that I go to mostly, in that literature, it tells us that we were addicts before we even did any substances. And yeah, like I said, I took a first drink of maybe about 5 or 6. But the way I controlled my environment as a child was through porno and masturbation. I felt good doing that. Back then, and now, like I said, I'm going to be all over the place, so just bear with me. And again, thank you for listening and watching wherever you are. Back then, there was big satellites dishes, and these satellite dishes could be moved if you put in a certain code. And there was scrambled porn, and sometimes the porn would come in on occasion, but I knew enough of scrambled porn what it looked like. And when it would come in on occasion, I was like, "Ooh, this is great, even better." Then back in the day, they used to have Cinemax late night, was soft porn where they didn't show anything. It was very, it would show women's breasts and it would show the sex part, but you didn't see anything. It didn't expose everything. You saw maybe a man's back or his bottom or a woman's bottom or her breast or her back, them kissing, maybe some fellatio, stuff like that, but you didn't really see it. You had to use your imagination. I was fascinated with all of that. One, because I didn't learn about it. It wasn't ever taught to me by my parents the correct way how a man should and a woman should be together in that regard. And I used that as control of my environment as a child. I had control over, I made myself feel good. So when did that happen? About 11, 12 years old. I started watching porn and I started masturbating. I started gratifying myself physically. And I have been addicted to porn and masturbation and women and sex for as long as I could remember. So now I have the childhood trauma. I'm starting that addiction in sex, in women, in feeling good in that way, having that pleasure and a numbing, if you will, to a degree where I can escape from whatever my reality is. Now back to the military aspect of it, back to that point where now there's 2 tours that are done in books. I lose 2 brothers. I have had to defend my unit, had to defend my convoy, had to defend the people that I'm with because it's them or me. That's what I was told. So I was trained to believe in in countries that didn't even want me there. And I had no right to be in. But that's a later time. That's a story for a later time. So married, coming back from Korea, and that's when everything just hit. And at that time, my wife she was deployed herself. And I was still trying to be this playboy, just still trying to see what different sexual exploits I can get into, seeing how far I can take it. And now, okay, what substances can Derek take to make sex even more grateful? and more explosive and pleasurable than it already is being sober. Okay, marijuana, good. Drinking, has its place. Marijuana, really good. Different pills, acid, shrooms. And this is through different times in my life that I'm taking these different substances. And so far, marijuana, and maybe a pill or two here, coupled with a joint or a blunt or a bowl or a shot. What combination? What about syrup, codeine? Double cupping. What about that? Let me try that. Now, acid and mushrooms, not so much when it comes to the sex part, but I get to experience different things. So now I got that. I'm dealing with that. Dealing with the fact that now I'm in a relationship with a woman. She has a beautiful 5-year-old daughter that I love. Is still my baby to this day. We have a child. Divorce happens. Trying to deal with that. My unit is against me. Trying to keep the household going. Trying to use my benefits to go to school, and still not understanding where this rage and this anger and this resentment comes from, and this F the world complex. Because I really haven't dealt with anything. I hadn't dealt with the trauma I experienced in childhood. I hadn't dealt with the fact that I love sex and I love women, and anything towards that I can experience, I'm about it. I'm with it. Sex dungeons, sex, different pockets in society where you can go to have different pleasures met by different types of women. I was there in Korea, Germany. I was there in the States. I was there. I wanted to be a part of it. So cocaine came about. So me, and my kid's mom, we had separated and split up, and the divorce happened with my wife, and I moved an hour and a half north, and this is all in Texas. So coming from San Antonio, coming from Killeen to San Antonio to Round Rock, boom, Austin. Now I'm still looking for sex, looking for that hole that's in me to be filled with sex. And sometimes I get confused with love. I did. Because there was this hole in me that could never be fulfilled, that could never be filled up. And I was like, hey, well, if I got money, if I got women, if I got drugs, if I got a nice place, a nice car, I'm doing okay. There's nothing unmanageable about that at that time. It was very well managed. And then you was like, okay, so how did it escalate with the sex? Well, back then at some point you could do phone chat. They had these phone sites that you could call, and I would always try to get the free one. I would never pay, but I'm a call, and you get an hour, and you get to talk to these women. Some you get to actually meet in person. Y'all switch numbers, leave messages, switch numbers. You texting, you call, and y'all meet up. Sometimes it's what they look like, and sometimes it's what they not. And sometimes I was mad, and sometimes I still had sex, still smoked, still popped a pill or two, still had a shot or two, and I still enjoyed myself because I was like, I'm not going to waste a moment. Let me see what this exploitation, let me see what this excitement is about. Let me see what this is. Let me explore this. It's a place I've never been before. So I did more times than not. And then I got to a place where I was done with that. I was tired of that. Then, of course, online, you can meet people online. Craigslist tags, different things like that. You could go to and post ads and put a profile together, and you can meet people that way too. Then it escalated to escorts, where now, wait. What are you saying there? Did you pay for sex? I did. I sure did. And I didn't give a damn what you thought about it. I didn't care. Because now I don't have to go to no bar or put on an air or put on a representative or fake the funk or buy all these drinks or smoke you out or whatever to not get anything. Nah, I'm good with that. Let's cut that out. So let's make a deal. Okay, this is the time that I'm paying for. And in that time, this is what I want to do. Hour? Sure. This, that, and the third? Absolutely. Do you do party favors? What does that mean? Do you party? And what kind of partying do you do? Because everybody parties differently. And everybody party might not line up with your party. Everybody party lined up with my party because I always wanted, hey, if I'm feeling good, I want you to feel good too. And I would spend some money on some women partying and escorting, paying for sex, learning different pockets of society, like I said before, where there are different things to experience, different places to experience, different things to experience with maybe more than one person, more than one woman, going to parties, mask parties, sex dungeons, and things of that nature. That's what I was drawn to. Okay, now where are the substances that I can combine together to make this even more so, to make this even more, because as an addict, I always wanted more, now. Now, I did anything I could to get it. Crack cocaine hit, and I know we're not supposed to be drug specific, substance specific. But for me to be as open and honest as I can, I have to tell on it. I have to tell. That's what keeps me clean. That's what keeps me in recovery, is I have to tell on it. And the more I tell, the less power it has. So crack cocaine stuck. Let me back up for a second. So before that, it was methamphetamines. It was meth. Okay. I never forget this. So I was in my apartment before I lost, because I've lost apartments and cars, family members. I've lost all of that. But before that, I was in my apartment, in my home, that I had made well for my son and my daughter. I was sitting on the couch with a young lady. She was an escort. And that's how she partied. She got down with crack cocaine. And I was still using my meth. I wanted to see what that was like. And I never forget, she told me that this is a different animal than what you're smoking right there. And please, I don't minimalize anyone's addiction to whatever that may be, where if it's sex, porn, food, shopping, gambling, whatever your substance or choice is. I don't minimalize it. I don't. I was the type of addict. I'm addicted to everything. I'm addicted to more, and I need it now. So please do not misconstrue that. That is not what I'm trying to say. I have empathy for all of my people who have mental health and substance use challenges. I do. I have them both. I'm dual diagnosed, meaning I suffer from PTSD, MDD, and I have substance use disorder. So MDD is major depressive disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm with you. Anxiety, depression, high. So I minimalize no one's addiction to whatever that may be. She was just telling me from her experience that this is a different animal. This is a different monster. And it was for Derek. As soon as I took that first hit of that crack cocaine, it was different. I left the meth alone. Every now and then I would still smoke it if I wanted to boost my high, or I was bored, or I ran out of crack cocaine that was meth. I would do it. Absolutely. I would still pop pills. I would still take a shot. I would still smoke marijuana. I would still do whatever it took to get high so that sex, even with someone or with myself, could be as pleasurable as it possibly could. I wanted more of that feeling that smoking that crack cocaine gave me. I wanted more of that sensation that it gave me on my own and with someone else. But it turned me into a person that I didn't recognize. It turned me into a monster. It turned me into someone that didn't care about life. So now we have childhood trauma. We had those adverse effects. We got me the start of masturbation and porno and sex. Military trauma. Not being able to speak about any of it yet. And now I'm here with crack cocaine. And again, I haven't spoke to anyone about anything. The loss of my brothers, the defending myself in military situations, and how I saw my mom and my dad go through what they go through, including my brother and myself, my whole family, when it comes to that. Not being able to speak on any of that. I need to get away. I need to feel good. So now I'm lying to my family and my friends. I have a really good comedy career. Really good comedy career. I'm coming up in the ranks. That falls to the wayside because I burn bridges and reputation is canceled. I'm pawning my son's stuff, my stuff, paying it back, pawning it again, paying it back, pawning it again. So now, not only do I have the financial obligation of bills, not only do I have the obligation of being a parent to my son and my daughter, now I have, on top of the sex addiction, which costs me money, I have this crack cocaine addiction, which costs me money. Because now I'm not only am I spending just for one, I'm spending on both. I'm spending on both. Give us an example there. What you mean on both? So, and I had regulars that I went to, and I was their regular, and they were my regulars. So, okay, let's take a regular for instance. Uh, let's call her L. So, I had a few L's. So I would call up L, and L did what she advertised that she does in her time that we spend together. Cool, that's what I want. So we would watch porn and we would smoke and drink and have a good time, and we would get down. We would have fun. We would play. So for, let's just say, an hour, for what I wanted and what I was learning that I wanted, because it grew over time. So for an hour, let's just say $250. I get it. I get everything that I want to do, all the playtime I want in this time that we're spending together in this hour for $250. Now, on top of that, to make her feel comfortable. Whatever she is doing, whatever Elle is doing for her party favor, I'm gonna pay for that too. So even if it is my party favor, which is crack cocaine, it might not be. She might want to do something else. She might want to drink and smoke weed, or she might want to pop some pills, or she might want to smoke meth. Whatever she wants to do, I'm going to accommodate that because that's the kind of guy I am. Stupid. So now not only am I paying her 250, I'm paying whatever the cost may be for both of us to get right and be in that type of mind state to feel good together, to party together. So maybe I'm at $400 or $500. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on services, escort services, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on drugs. More time than not, the things that I planned did not go well. And because I'm frustrated, I'm irritable because I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get to the place I wanted to be. I didn't climax where I needed to, or I couldn't perform. Now I'm back at square zero. Now I am trying to figure that out. I need to get it back. I need more. I want to get it back. I need to feel good. I need to feel good. I need to get it back. I want to feel good. How do I get it back? Got to do the same thing again. Insanity, right? Now friends and family are gone. Missed out on my son's birthday twice. Missed out on my daughter's life, her graduation. Stealing from folks, stealing from Walmarts and Targets to not only to eat, but to barter for the next one and the next one. It started off really fun in the beginning. Can't lie to you about that. I had good times using. I'm not going to sit here and lie saying I didn't, but it got to the point where it became paranoid and scared and uncomfortable. I was homeless, living in my car, sleeping in dirty hotels, being filthy, not washing myself, not showering, not brushing my teeth, not eating well. I was dying. I did die. I died twice. Mm. But I'm thankful that I'm here now. I'm thankful that I'm able to sit right here and talk to you and share this with you. Oh, I recover daily, moment to moment. I pray, I meditate, I read my literature, I read my Bible, I be of service to other folks. I get outside of myself. There are relationships that are slowly but surely coming back because all the thing I can do is keep my side of the street clean and keep doing the next right thing even when no one's looking. I have to. Because if I don't, my disease will come up on me, attack my mental, which attack my heart, which attack my spirit. And now I'm back using again with a stem in one hand and a rock in the other. And like, how the hell did I get back here? No, sir. No, ma'am. Not again. What do you do for your recovery? I go to meetings. I have a therapist. For me, therapy is very important. Therapy and going to my meetings are one and the same for me. They are what help me process the things that Derek needs to process and to play the tape on good, bad, and indifferent situations that I may be thinking or I may be feeling. Because everything I think ain't good. And I need to hear that from with love, of course, and compassion and empathy. Took me a while to find me a good therapist that just wasn't there for a check or wasn't looking at the clock or wasn't treating me like a number or a statistic. Someone who actually cared about my journey and what I was going through and was there to hear me and even there for me to cry, because I cry. Oh, I've cried a lot. I have a higher power who I choose to call God, Most High, who I pray to, and who I meditate, and guides me to continue my journey of recovery, getting the help that I need, reaching out to folks, reaching out to other people with mental health and substance use challenges like myself, being of service, giving back to the community, being here right now. Like, this is me being of service. This is therapy for me. This is what we do. No, not for likes or clicks or follows or monetary gain. Nah. To give hope to someone out there that was stuck, who is stuck, and think, how do I get out? Reach out. You ask for help. You let people know, regardless of how embarrassing you may think it is. And it's going to be embarrassing. I'm not going to lie to you. But who cares? I need help. I have a mental health condition and I have a substance use problem. One or the other or both. You reach out. You do not have to deal with that alone. And that's what I had to figure out. I had to understand that there are people that are like us that have been through the fire. They have been in that pit. They have been in that hole. They don't mind jumping down there and jumping down there because they know the way out. I'm sorry. I'm just passionate. Excuse me for stuttering. People have jumped in that hole with me because they know the way out. That's what I was trying to say. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to get help. I had to. When did I have to realize that I needed help? When I was stuck in front of the gate and I was trapped in a basement. I didn't want to be stuck in front of that gate anymore. And I didn't want to be trapped down in that basement either, because I used them in both situations, in both places. I did. And enough was enough. But I didn't get ready till I wanted to, till I was desperate enough. They tell me that there's always the floor or the bottom. Even when you feel like you've hit rock bottom, the floor can still fall up from under you. And there's another bottom. There's even further that you could go down. Jail's institution and death. That's what they tell me. I've been to all of them. Never been to physical jail, but I was in jail of my mind. I was in prison of my mind, and I did die. And I've been in some institutions. But all grace to the Most High God. I'm not in front of that gate. I'm not in that basement. I have joy for that. I have joy for that. I am grateful for that. It makes me smile every time I think I am not in front of that gate and I am not in that basement. I am not using, and I will not pick up no matter what. And I will reach out always. I'll reach out always. Well, that's my time for right now. I'll have more for me later. Um, I try not to have this all about me. It's more about the people that come onto the show, and it's about you, the viewer, the listener. Yeah. Look, if no one's told you today that they love you, I love you. To have peace comes understanding. With understanding comes love. With love comes hope. With hope comes faith. And with faith comes recovery. And that's what Play the Tape is all about. I know there's some aspects of my story that I need to dive deeper into, and I will. I just wanted to give you a little bit of what we do here at Play the Tape. It's that simple. Vulnerability, accountability, responsibility, and transparency. We're a community of support, love, and advocacy for those who have mental health conditions and substance use. That's what we hit. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. That's what God told me to do, and I love it. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. There's it's a work in progress. There will be some things in the broadcast that happen. Wi-Fi connections, not hitting the button on time. Things will happen, but the message will still shine through. So until next time, I love you. And be blessed. Peace.